Good morning, Joan of Arc. So who would have thought when we decided to talk about housing and homelessness that it would be on a Sunday that not one of us, I don't think, can imagine what it would be like not to have a safe, secure, warm home this morning. I want to thank, and first of all, my name is Julie Madden. Welcome to St. Joan of Arc, wherever you are on your journey. Well, no, I just get up and take the microphone and everybody goes, okay, whoever, that's fine. I want to, what? We trust, yeah, you trust me. Oh, that's gone well. I want to thank this morning the donors to our outreach fund and our care committee volunteers who last year helped more than 100 families maintain their housing stability. I want to thank our housing ministry volunteers who rehab properties with Urban Homeworks and with Habitat for Humanity. And I want to thank Beacon Interfaith Housing Collective. Beacon develops affordable housing, and they work within communities of faith like ours to develop the public and political will that we need to end homelessness in our community. And I want to welcome from Beacon the Reverend Emily Goldthwait Fries, their senior congregational organizer and a great friend to St. Joan of Arc. Emily was at Mayflower United Church of Christ, kind of our sister UCC at 54th and 54th and 35W, kind of, yeah. While she was there, they pulled off an amazing thing, donating part of their property to Beacon to develop Creekside Commons, an affordable housing multi-unit building for families. Emily is organized on social, racial, and environmental justice in South Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, Palestine, and Israel, and we are so thrilled that she is with us this morning. Please welcome our friend, Reverend Emily Goldthwait Fries.
Good morning. I bring you greetings on behalf of Beacon Interfaith Housing Collaborative. Greetings from Unity Unitarian Church across the Mississippi River in St. Paul, and the Northwest Islamic Community Center over in Plymouth, and Temple Israel in Minneapolis, and Hope Lutheran Church down in Jordan, and from Mayflower United Church of Christ, my beloved church of the past 5 years, where I had many opportunities to conspire with you, St. Joan of Arc, in our common work for justice for the earth and our community. And I would always say, anything worth doing was going to be twice as much fun if we got together with St. Joan of Arc. And it was. So last September, I joined the Beacon staff in the midst of a moment of intense awareness of homelessness in this city. Every morning, I would drive from my home just a few blocks from here and take Franklin Street all the way to the Beacon offices in St. Paul. I watched the wall of forgotten natives grow from a small cluster of tents to a village of hundreds. Hot summer nights turned into late fall thunderstorms and a bitterly cold and snowy winter. The city, county, nonprofit organizations, service providers, and tribes came together to meet the needs of people with many barriers to finding housing and the services to get on their feet. The crisis of homelessness in Minneapolis was front-page news for months. On one of those crisp fall days, I visited the encampment along with a group of clergy from our congregations. And as we walked through the camp at breakfast time, The scent of campfires invited people out of their tents. It was a school holiday, so the kids were riding their bikes up and down the sidewalk to fend off boredom. When I heard a baby cry from inside of a tent, felt my heart beat a little harder as I imagined what it might be like to go through our morning routine with my child without the comforts and conveniences of home. We had walked the length of the encampment and were just about to leave when a man noticed my clerical collar and greeted me. "Pastor, I have a question for you." He was all bundled up, except for his kind face, standing with a couple of friends, all warming their hands near a fire. "Pastor, we've been talking. You see, I still pray. I still believe God is love. But I wonder, where is God right now?" He motioned to the young children playing by their families' tents. "Where is God when these kids have to sleep outside? They never did anything to deserve this." I heard the man's question as an invitation to dwell with him in this paradox, that such extreme poverty persists in the middle of a city we're told is among the top places to live in the country. Surely the presence of God was in this place where people came together in community and reached out with the little they had to care for one another. It is natural in such a time of suffering to ask, where is God? But I left with another question. Where are the rest of us? Will faith communities respond in this moment, proclaiming our vision that all people have a home? Will our restlessness with the status quo be transformed into dynamic energy for change? Will our state, cities, and counties invest the resources it takes to make sure that adults and families, even at the lowest income levels, all have a place to call home? Or will we look the other way when the headlines fade? These are the questions on my mind, the questions I came here to share with you today. And I believe deeply that you, my Catholic siblings in Christ, bring a beautiful witness to the circle, as on so much of the other work that you do. You and I know that the crisis of homelessness among the Native American and African American communities in Minnesota is nothing new, nor does it reflect individual failures on the part of people without housing. We know that the way things are, we have gotten used to things. It's not the natural order of things, but the result of many years of exclusion, segregation, and removal of people from their land, even this land where we gather to pray right now. We know that our churches are deeply entwined in this history in many complex ways, and that we must humbly face this truth if we're to help shape a more just future. I was recently reminded by a wise member of this church that the letter from Pope Francis addressing the global environmental crisis, remember what that was called? Laudato Si, on care for our common home. That concept of home is so at the heart of it. The Pope eloquently challenges the theology of domination that treats the earth and vulnerable people as disposable. His hope is not only in God, but in all of us. He writes, "The urgent challenge to protect our common home includes a concern to bring the whole human family together. For we know that things can change. The Creator does not abandon us. God never forsakes God's loving plan or repents of having created us. humanity still has the ability to work together in building our common home. I've seen a glimpse of what that looks like. Humanity working together to build our common home. Do you remember that night? It was January 29th. The coldest night Minnesota has seen in decades. Well, it happened to be the night of our last Beacon convening, when hundreds of leaders from dozens of congregations all planned to gather at Beit Shalom congregation in Minnetonka to look to the year ahead. Have you ever planned a big party and then at the last moment you wondered if anybody was going to show up? Well, this was that night. And this time we had special guests we were not going to let down or let off the hook, no matter how cold it got. And indeed, right on time, our faithful leaders began to arrive. They carpooled from every corner of the metro in their heaviest coats and boots and big fur hats. They filed into the sanctuary, sporting those colorful, thick Norwegian sweaters with the buckles, as though they had put on the whole armor of God. And they came with total clarity that if even one person was trying to survive in their car overnight in this weather, the least we could do was come together to ask our Governor, Tim Walz, and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan to stand with us in creating housing solutions on the scale of the crisis. It was a night none of us will forget, but also merely a beginning. St. Joan of Arc, you have long been connected with the work of Beacon, from Night on the Street to the Care Committee, all the ways that you volunteer. You have supported Beacon generously, and your commitment to serve those in homelessness continues to be expressed in so many ways, as Julie was saying. I wonder, next time this collaborative of more than 90 congregations gathers on a hopefully balmier evening to powerfully proclaim that vision, that all people have a home. Would you like to be there too? Let's talk.